When we think of the most infamous weapons of World War II, the Panzer IV tank stands out as one of the most significant and legendary machines of war. Not merely a piece of military hardware, Panzer IV became the backbone of the German war machine, playing an essential role in the Blitzkrieg tactics and serving in almost every major battle throughout the war. With nearly 9,000 units produced, the Panzer IV holds the title of the most widely manufactured German tank of World War II. Introduced in 1936, this tank demonstrated immense versatility and resilience, proving invaluable to the Wehrmacht as it pushed forward through campaigns in Poland, North Africa, Russia, and ultimately on the Western Front. What truly sets the Panzer IV apart is its continuous evolution. Initially designed as a medium tank for infantry support, the Panzer IV was constantly upgraded throughout the war to meet the evolving battlefield requirements. From the early short-barreled 75mm gun to the long-barreled 75mm cannon, its armor progressively thickened to counter the ever-improving Allied tanks, such as the Soviet T-34. Despite its simple yet effective design, Panzer IV earned the reputation as the workhorse of the German tank force. The tank was highly favored for its reliability and ease of maintenance, which made it indispensable to German forces. It was not only the mainstay of armored divisions, but also served in a variety of combat roles, cementing its place as one of the most iconic tanks of World War II. In this video, we'll delve into the history of the Panzer IV, its origins, its journey through the war, its constant upgrades, and why it became a key player in both the success and the eventual downfall of the German army. Despite facing increasingly tough opposition, Panzer IV proved to be a formidable machine that continued to serve and evolve until the very end of World War II. The story of the Panzer IV begins in the aftermath of World War I, when the Treaty of Versailles severely limited Germany's military capabilities. Despite these restrictions, the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime in the early 1930s marked a dramatic shift in Germany's military ambitions. The Nazi regime sought to rearm and modernize its forces, and tanks were seen as a key component of this vision. In 1934, Germany secretly began designing its first generation of tanks, with the Panzer IV being one of the main projects. Designed by the German weapons manufacturer Krupp, the Panzer IV was initially intended as a medium tank for infantry support. Rather than a direct anti-tank role, the goal was to create a fast, reliable, and maneuverable vehicle that could work in conjunction with infantry, neutralizing enemy fortifications and artillery positions. The first prototype, the Panzer IV Ausf. Air, was rolled out in 1936, equipped with a short-barreled 75mm cannon. Although the armor was relatively light and the gun was not ideal for long-range engagements, the design proved effective in its intended role. The early model was limited in production, with only 35 units built. However, the success of the initial trials led to a decision to mass-produce the tank and modify it for future battles. As the war approached, the Panzer IV was integrated into Germany's armored divisions and played a key role in the early stages of World War II. Its design was continuously refined, and by the time of the invasion of Poland in 1939, the Panzer IV was ready to take on a more significant role in combat. This was just the beginning of the tank's long and storied history on the battlefields of Europe, North Africa, and Russia. As World War II broke out, Panzer IV proved to be a formidable force in the German military arsenal. Its versatility and adaptability on the battlefield quickly made it one of the most reliable and effective tanks for the German Wehrmacht. From the first major campaign in Poland to the brutal Eastern Front, the Panzer IV's performance and ability to quickly adapt to new threats made it a pivotal player in many battles. At the start of the war, the Panzer IV was initially used in its early variants, armed with a short-barreled 75mm gun, ideal for engaging infantry and fortifications. However, it quickly became clear that these guns were insufficient against heavily armored Allied tanks, particularly the Soviet T-34. By 1941, the German military began to upgrade the Panzer IV with a longer, more powerful 75mm gun that could better penetrate the armor of enemy tanks. The Panzer IV's role on the battlefield evolved as the war progressed. Initially used as infantry support, it was soon tasked with taking on enemy tanks and other armored units. The increasing need for anti-tank capabilities led to the development of specialized variants, like the Panzer IV F2 and G, which were equipped with long-barreled guns capable of facing the growing Soviet armored threat. In the North African campaigns, Panzer IV played a critical role in the desert warfare, where it was pitted against the British Matilda and Crusader tanks. Despite being outclassed by the heavily armored British tanks, the Panzer IV's speed, maneuverability, and ability to fight in the harsh desert environment made it a critical asset in the Afrika Korps. The Panzer IV quickly gained a fearsome reputation among the Allied forces. On the Eastern Front, where the battle between Germany and the Soviet Union reached its fiercest, the Soviet Red Army saw the Panzer IV as one of the primary threats. Its initial versions, equipped with a short-barreled 75mm gun, were highly effective against infantry, fortifications, and anti-tank positions. While not a match for heavily armored tanks like the Soviet T-34 in terms of raw firepower, its role as a support tank for infantry was invaluable. As the war progressed and the Panzer IV was upgraded, especially with the introduction of the long-barreled 75mm gun, it became much more than just a support tank. The Germans' ability to continually improve and adapt the Panzer IV to counter enemy tanks like the T-34 struck fear into Soviet tank crews. The long-barreled 75mm gun, with its increased range and armor-piercing capabilities, made the Panzer IV one of the most dangerous tanks on the battlefield. Its mobility, combined with firepower and armor, meant that it could hold its own against even the heaviest of Soviet tanks. On the Western Front, the Panzer IV's presence was just as daunting. The British, who had already experienced the formidable power of German tanks in North Africa, knew well the capabilities of the Panzer IV. It became a constant challenge for the British Sherman and the British Matilda tanks. The speed and agility of the Panzer IV meant that it could quickly exploit gaps in the Allied lines and devastate vulnerable units. Even with more advanced tanks, the Panzer IV's combination of firepower, armor, and speed made it a consistent threat. The Panzer IV also became a symbol of the effectiveness of the German military machine. For the soldiers on both fronts, whether they were fighting against it or commanding it, the Panzer IV commanded respect. It wasn't just the fear of its firepower and armor, but also its relentless ability to adapt and survive on the battlefield. As the war raged on, the reputation of the Panzer IV grew, with both Allied and Axis forces recognizing its place as one of the most iconic tanks of the war. After the fall of Nazi Germany in 1945, the Panzer IV's role as a formidable war machine didn't come to an immediate end. Although the tank was eventually phased out of frontline service by the Allies, its legacy continued in several forms. The most notable aspect of its post-WWII use was its adaptation and service with various nations. Many Panzer IVs, particularly the late versions, were captured by the Allies and repurposed for use in various roles, such as training and even peacekeeping operations in the years following the war. In the early stages of the Cold War, the Panzer IV was still employed by several countries that had either been allied with Nazi Germany or had received surplus military equipment. Countries like Egypt, Syria, and even Israel, after its founding in 1948, operated captured German tanks, including the Panzer IV. In these regions, the Panzer IV continued to serve as a reliable and capable tank, though it was eventually surpassed by more modern designs. In the 1950s and 1960s, the Panzer IV saw limited use in the Middle East, especially during conflicts like the 1967 Six-Day War. In the war, countries like Syria utilized the Panzer IV alongside Soviet-made T-34s, though by then the tank's age was starting to show. Nevertheless, the Panzer IV remained a symbol of Germany's military might, its design a lasting testament to the resilience and ingenuity of Nazi-era engineering. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Panzer IV's legacy is how it continued to influence the development of future armored vehicles. The tank's chassis served as the foundation for other German vehicles, such as self-propelled guns, Stu-G, tank destroyers, Jagdpanzer, and even assault guns. These variants, all of which were based on the sturdy Panzer IV chassis, played significant roles in World War II. Though the Panzer IV was eventually retired from active service in most countries, its legacy as one of the most iconic tanks in military history remains intact. Today, the Panzer IV is often displayed in military museums around the world, serving as a reminder of the tank warfare that defined World War II. The Panzer IV's legacy is not just defined by its role in World War II, but by its lasting impact on tank design and its place in military history. After its production ceased, the influence of the Panzer IV continued in multiple ways, particularly through its chassis. The robust design of the Panzer IV became the basis for numerous variants, including the Jagdpanzer and the Stu-G, two vehicles that saw significant combat success during World War II. This adaptability to different combat roles ensured that the Panzer IV remained a relevant part of the military world long after the war. Even after the end of World War II, many nations continued to recognize the Panzer IV as a symbol of German military prowess. Although its combat use was limited by the 1950s, the tank's historical significance remained undeniable. Several nations, including Israel and Egypt, even used the Panzer IV in the 1960s, notably during the Six-Day War, where it saw action against Israeli forces. What truly sets the Panzer IV apart from other tanks of its era is its adaptability. Unlike many other tanks, the Panzer IV was constantly evolving throughout its service life. From its initial role as a support tank to its later use as a mainline tank, the Panzer IV's modifications allowed it to stay competitive even as the battlefield changed. The introduction of longer, more powerful guns and additional armor enabled the Panzer IV to face newer, more heavily armored Soviet and Allied tanks. Today, the Panzer IV's legacy lives on, While it no longer serves in active military service, it remains one of the most iconic tanks in history. With thousands of units produced during the war, many Panzer IVs were captured or destroyed during combat, but a number still remain as relics of a bygone era. Many are displayed in museums around the world, reminding visitors of the intensity and drama of World War II, where the Panzer IV played such a crucial role. In conclusion, the Panzer IV is more than just a tank. It is a symbol of German engineering, battlefield innovation, and the ruthless realities of war. The tank's legacy serves as a reminder of the lessons learned during World War II and the evolution of armored warfare. In the end, the Panzer IV is more than just a relic of a bygone era. It's a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of German military engineering. From its humble beginnings as a support tank to its transformation into a formidable force on the battlefield, the Panzer IV's journey is a story of continuous innovation, evolution, and legacy. While the Panzer IV may no longer roll across the battlefield today, its legacy lives on in history, in museums, and in the lessons we learn from its design and performance. This tank serves as a reminder of how far military technology has come and how innovation often emerges out of necessity during the darkest of times. As we look back on this iconic piece of history, it's important to remember the impact it had on the course of World War II. Panzer IV was not just a tank, but a symbol of resilience, tactical evolution, and the relentless spirit of innovation. And while its time on the battlefield has long passed, its place in the annals of history is forever cemented. What do you think about the Panzer IV's legacy? Was it the best tank of World War II, or is there another contender in your eyes? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join our growing history community.